Welcome back everyone to Montgomery County's Engage at Home, brought to you by the county's Caregiver Support Program. We have a special guest with us today, Laurie Reyes, with Montgomery County Police. Laurie, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Officer Laurie Reyes. I've been with the department about 22 years, and I am the creator and now coordinator, along with another officer, of the Montgomery County Police Autism, IDD, which is Intellectual Developmental Disabilities, Alzheimer's, and Dementia Outreach Unit. Quite a long title, but that's those individuals that we serve.
Excellent. So before we dive into some more current questions, tell us a little bit about what the program does, and then I'll ask you to share more about current circumstances.
So our program, it was created in 2004 because we were seeing, and we continue to see till this day, quite a significant amount of calls for service for what we call critically at-risk missing person or critically at-risk found person. We average about 3 to 8 of those calls a week. So our program grew, and now we provide, it's a very broad approach. So it's education of officers, individuals, caregivers in the community, follow-up. We follow up from mundane calls all the way to very serious, empowerment. Then we have our response piece, and that entails the collaboration and partnership with all of our patrol officers, but also our managed search and rescue officers. And that can be responding to someone who is in crisis, somebody who is lost. It's really quite a robust response piece as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Laurie. We're all going through challenging times regarding COVID-19, and I could imagine the impact on your work and the work of the Montgomery County Police has really been impacted by this social challenge. Could you tell us a little bit about some of the trends and challenges that you're seeing?
So for us, we've been pretty steady as far as our interactions with those in the community, autism, IDD, Alzheimer's, and dementia. We thought we might see a bit of an uptick of those who maybe were wandering and eloping more because of COVID, but we've stayed pretty consistent. Some weeks are more than others, but for the most part, we've stayed pretty consistent. And we've really tried during this time to let families know that we are available. We will do our best to, of course, we will respond in crisis situations, but for follow-ups, I try my best to make myself available in different ways, because the challenge is that sometimes you need those face-to-face interactions, and of course we respond to those that are missing. Of course, we respond to those that are in crisis, with or without the current climate with COVID-19.
And are you seeing different sorts of calls at the moment? Are you experiencing people maybe under different stress than normal?
Yeah, I would say that we've seen an uptick and of course, everybody's kind of struggling with the changes that have had been made. Even as simple as wearing a mask for some of my individuals that we provide service to could be a very difficult challenge, especially with sensory issues with individuals who have autism or those who have dementia, not understanding why they have to wear a mask. So the challenges have been, we have seen more individuals that are in crisis. Services have been unable to be provided that they were used to, day programs, school, and of course that kind of puts people in a bit of a tailspin sometimes. So we've seen those kind of an uptick, and I think we've met those challenges and try to provide even more resources and more support where we can.
So Laurie, with this warmer weather, I can imagine that there are going to be folk who maybe choose to go for a walk or maybe head down to their local pond or water source because they think it's going to be fun, but they may not necessarily have the capacity to undertake such an adventure independently. What advice and insights do you have?
So we've actually seen a bit of an increase, and not that it's not that uncommon in the summer to see this increase, where we are locating and have located individuals, especially on the autism spectrum. In most cases, they're more drawn to bodies of water. That's where we go to look first. That's where we teach our officers to look, because they do tend to go to bodies of water.
Mm.
So for us, I would say in the last 10 days, maybe 20 days, we've probably had 5 to 8 individuals that we have located in bodies of water. And thank goodness that with our good, well-trained officers, and with sometimes the help of the community, we have they've all been successful searches. But it's very common, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just because it's warmer, but obviously more public pools are open. The idea to go to a body of water is more intense when it's hot outside. So a lot of our individuals on the autism spectrum go to bodies of water, but we teach our officers to make sure that they're aware of that, and they've done a phenomenal job. And in the past, just last week, we had a young lady that was found in a golf course lake, and officer jumped in and pulled her out of the water. So we ask the community to be very aware, of the likelihood of someone who has autism that's drawn to a body of water.
And so it sounds like what you're saying is that for our viewers, particularly to think about if they're seeing something that doesn't seem right, that seems that maybe someone could be not thinking through their little adventure that they're on, it's not a hardship on Montgomery County Police to be called to come and check it out, because sadly, like you're saying, that someone who's on the autism spectrum, going to a golf course and jumping in a lake isn't something that people do all the time. So
Right.
it's something where that member of the general public could actually be really saving someone's life.
Yeah, Lily, I can't express that enough. It is so important in any situation, but especially for an individual that may be drawn to a dangerous situation. As a community member, all you have to do is call 911. That's it. We'll take care of it. Just let us know what's going on. If you see, some of our guys with autism are found, or dementia or Alzheimer's too, are found walking in main roadways. They can be in very dangerous situations. So we always ask, we have no choice. We need our community members to know that it's okay to call 911. And on that same note, it's okay for a caregiver who's lost their loved one. We really beg of them to call 911 as soon as their loved one is noticed to be missing. And I know we can talk a little bit more about the resources and safety tips, but the most important safety tip that we offer is to say, call 911 immediately. Once a minute has passed by and you haven't located your loved one, call 911. Even if you call us back and say you found them, at least we're en route. But call 911. We're not judging you. We know the challenges of caring for someone who has special needs. So we're saying we're here for you. Call 911.
Yeah, exactly. And I know in my work with the county over the last couple of months, I've heard from more caregivers, and exactly like you said earlier, that they are seeing their loved ones get under more stress because their normal activities, which could have included being able to go to a day program, it could have included actually having more social engagement with friends and family. And now, unfortunately, they're living the same more socially secluded life that the rest of us are, and it's getting boring.
Right, of course.
And so they are, like, many people, wanting to break this situation. Could you just step people through why calling quickly 911 is so important, particularly about how you have that coordinated research, search that can really find someone much quicker than if someone called 20, 30 minutes later?
So time is not on our side. That's first and foremost. Time is not on our side. So calling us, it starts off a sequence, right? You have patrol officers that are going to respond initially to gather information. You've got a 911 center that can get out the lookout immediately. Then once officers are on scene and they determine, yes, in fact, this individual is missing, we can deploy even more resources, more officers. We have our excellent search and rescue team, our MSOT team. They're highly trained. They are fantastic. And I know that families may think, wow, that's a lot of resources for our loved one. And we want to tell you, we're okay using them. That's why you should call us, because we could use our canines. We can use, we have a lot of tools at our disposal that we can put into play, more so than just a family member looking for their missing loved one. And time, again, time is just not on our side, and nothing brings us more joy than when we are able to reunite family members.
Completely. And, I've experienced that with a grandfather who, unfortunately, in the latter part of his life, he started to wander. And my grandmother would jump in her car at 3 a.m. and start trying to find him. The problem with that is that she's not a skilled officer.
Right.
She was in panic mode, and
right.
it meant that she left the house. So
right.
if he had returned, it meant
right.
that there was no one there. So from what I've been educated by you, is that the caregiver is best served staying at the house and letting 100%. The team that has, the unlimited, theoretically, the unlimited resources of officers scattered throughout the county to be able to do what you are trained and you do well.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you, Lily. You said that perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. You've trained me well.
Yeah.
So, Laurie, I know that the work that you're doing really also focuses on that preemptive. It's actually preparing the caregiver to understand that someone wandering could be part of their future. So you've got a lot of tips and resources and knowledge. Could you share some of that?
Sure. So first and foremost, our first safety tip is, like we mentioned earlier, calling 911 immediately. Our second tip, because we more times than not locate the missing person before family members even realize, we strongly encourage the use of an identification bracelet. That bracelet could be as simple as just a name and a couple really good cell phone numbers that people are going to answer if your loved one should wander off. But you can have a more detailed engraved ID bracelet. It just has to allow us to make sure that we can contact should we have your loved one in our care. We can oftentimes find a loved one at 2 a.m. and the family members don't wake up until 8, and we have that individual with us for quite some time, which can be traumatic for that individual. So we really stress the use of identification bracelets. If it's in the family's budget and you can manage it, we encourage getting some alarms on the doors because oftentimes individuals with autism or IDD or Alzheimer's and dementia can manage to get out of the house and everybody else is unaware. So we encourage the use of alarms on the doors and the windows, and they can be simple magnetic alarms, just so that if that door is opened, the family members are aware. The other tip that we encourage is completing, this is on our website, and I know you can provide the website at the end. It's called our neighbor letter, and it's really for those to share, for the family members to share information with the neighbors if they feel comfortable doing so, that tells a little bit about their loved one, so that should the neighbor encounter the loved one, they know what they should do. Oftentimes we have wanderings and elopements where the individual goes into the neighbor's house, or they get the houses confused. It's important, if you feel comfortable, to give the neighbors in your area a little heads up about your loved one. Just a little bit, whatever information you feel comfortable sharing. Really, we encourage that neighbor letter. And oftentimes it's the neighbors that see the loved one before you realize that they're missing. The other thing that we encourage is our 911 script. Now, our 911 script is important because it allows you to get a frame of mind and information composed when you're not under stress. When you're calling 911 to report your loved one missing, especially if it's a young child who has autism, you're going to be scared and you may not relay all the necessary information. So the 911 script, also on our website, it lets you compile information that's necessary before you would ever have a call to the police. And that way, when you call, you already are in that frame of mind of what you need to say to the dispatcher, to the call taker, and you'll maintain your composure and stay calm, which is so important if your loved one is missing. We have to get that information. We have to get that information out. And I think that's that. We have other safety tips on our website that might be more specific to the needs, Alzheimer's, dementia, or autism and IDD. But I'll say, I mean, even if you had a question, and you guys will be provided my contact information. You can always reach out to me if you had questions or concerns.
Excellent, thank you. And I think in some ways it's this idea for the families to remember that they're not going to be judged, but also what they can do in advance. I'd also add to what you were saying would be to have a little folder that's kept somewhere that you know where it is, has the script, also has a recent photo of your loved one and their height and all of that sort of thing, because if someone goes missing, the person is going to be emotional. They're going to be scared. And the human brain, unfortunately, when we get that adrenaline pumping in it, it can become a little disoriented.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yes, most certainly.
So Laurie, once again, you're amazing, all of the resources that you've got. And I want to remind people that if they go back to Engage at Home where you found this video, you will find the link to everything that Laurie's been talking about, and you can actually get things started. You can take control now. So Laurie, we've come to the end of our interview. What would you like our viewers to have as a takeaway?
So whenever we present or we speak, we give many presentations throughout the year, and we let families and basically anybody that we come in contact with, we let them know that they're not alone. I think sometimes caring for an individual who has special needs or autism, Alzheimer's, and dementia, you can feel like you're kind of alone on this island. And I think our department's message has always been, you're not alone. We're with you on this journey, and we know there's going to be bumps in the road. So we're just, my final words would be to stress that you're not alone. So thank you, Lily.
Beautiful. Thank you, Laurie. So this has been Engage at Home. Thank you very much for joining us. As I mentioned earlier, all the links that Laurie mentioned will be included on the website where you found this interview. I want to remind everyone to stay calm and really find a way to be relaxed.